Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Riding with Gravity. Today I'm going to go for a longer ride, and I'm going to start off just with what I'm going to call tiny tips. Just some little things that I think I have found to be good in my experience as a new rider, in no particular order. One is I wear earplugs when I ride. Now, do I always wear earplugs when I ride? No, not all the time. It depends on where I'm going. So last weekend I just ran to the store to get a couple things. I threw a backpack on. I threw on my gear. But I did not bother putting earplugs in because I was not going to be going faster than like 45 miles per hour, and it was a really short trip. But I do care about my hearing, and I want to preserve it. So whether it matters or not, whether you like it or not, I started very early in my riding. I started wearing earplugs, and I actually really like it. I got some that are specific to motorcycling, and I can still hear enough of what's going on around me, but I don't get all that wind noise. It makes for just a really pleasant ride. So if you have not thought about that, I'll put a link in the description to the ones that I got. But yeah, I got so used to it that one day I forgot to put my earplugs in, and it was really disconcerting, all the noise and the wind noise that you get. So I really have gotten used to it, and like I said, you can still hear, right? So very comfortable, I find. I have not started riding with like a Bluetooth system or speakers or anything like that to listen to music, so I'll probably have to mix it up a little bit once I get into audio land. Of doing some things where I want to maybe listen to music. But for me right now, when I'm just riding around like this, it's great. Really comfortable. Another tip is if you are turning and you're sometimes just forget to turn your signals off, right? It happens to all of us. It's a very common thing, right? One thing is just practicing it, right? If I'm on a really long straightaway like this and I'm by myself, I can do two things. I can practice my counter steering and my signals at the same time. So signal, counter steer, turn signal off. Signal, counter steer, turn signal off. Signal, counter steer, turn signal off. I'm the only one on the road, so it doesn't really matter, and you know, both lanes of traffic are going this direction, so I might as well. So that's a really good way to practice as well, and just get in the habit of using those signals. I'll be honest though, when I forget to turn my signal off, usually it's because I'm turning left or I'm turning right and there's a lot going on, and I'm shifting into second gear. I'm watching what's going on with traffic, just to make sure that I'm safe, and of course my attention is elsewhere and I'm not thinking about the signal, and then I might not come back to it and think about it, right? And so I'll leave it on. Very common if I'm coming up to a right-hand turn and there's a yield, right? I don't want to come to a complete stop unless I have to, so I'm slowing down, I'm looking at traffic, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and ultimately land in a place where I might forget my signal. There's another piece though that's like right in the name, turn signal. If you just tell yourself turn signal, well then guess what? You're gonna remember to turn that darn thing off. Turn signal. It's just that there's a lot of space between saying turn and saying signal, so you know, it is what it is. But it's right there in the name. Talked about how you can say turn signal as a way of turning and then signaling. Another thing that you can do is you can just remember that you're going to go from first to second to third, first to to second to third, and then you need to turn your signal off. So first, second, signal, third, or first, second, third, signal. Whatever you typically do. I typically do first, second, signal off, third. But it depends on what's going on around you, and right? And so just do whatever comes natural to you. But I always think of it as, if I'm in third gear, I should have my signal off. Probably, right? From a stop like this. So first, second, signal, third, and off I go. The other tip that I wanted to share for you all is with respect to shifting. So as a new rider, I check my gears quite often. I check my speed a lot, but eventually want to get to the point where I don't really have to look at my display. If I can spend more time looking at the road, good for me. So my next tip for you is with respect to shifting and not looking down at the display. Right now I know that I'm in 6th gear because I just checked, and so sometimes, yes, check, it's fine, do what makes you comfortable. I'm going to be coming up on a yield going to the right here, so I know I have to slow down. So okay, I don't have to count my gears. I just went down a gear so I could engine brake. I went down another gear so I could engine brake, and I'm just progressively going down, checking what's going on around me, and then I'm off. If you feel like you need to check your gears, go for it. But again, in that situation back there, I really don't want to be looking at my gears. I'm turning right, it's a yield. I don't want to have to come to a complete stop if I can avoid it, right? Which means that I'm focused almost exclusively on looking to my left, seeing if any cars are coming. I don't want to be checking what gear I'm in, right? I want to be listening to the bike. Turn, signal, turn the turn signal off. I want to be listening to the bike. So hey, I need to go up a gear. Okay, I went up a gear. I am fine. Maybe I want to go, I can feel a little strain. Yeah, all right, 5th gear. 5th gear's better. Now I looked, I didn't have to look, I knew I needed to go up a gear. So that's the other trick with shifting and trying not to look at your display. Just remember that you can always find 1st gear if you just pull in the clutch and keep stepping down until it won't click anymore. And then you don't have to look, right? And any amount of time that we can save looking down at what's going on with our bike, that's good for us. The last thing I already talked about in terms of tips, I'm not going to talk about counter steering. I've done a number of videos on counter steering. The last one is that you don't have to pull the clutch all the way in when you're shifting gears. Yes, pull it all the way in when you're in 1st gear and you're stopped at a light and all that good stuff. Pull it all the way in when you're first starting out your bike. But if you're just shifting between gears, you just need to pull it into the friction zone a little bit, and that'll make your shifting a lot easier for you as well. Last thing with a quick shifter, if you have a bike with a quick shifter, mostly probably for Svartpilen owners, I find that it's not super reliable. You can get it to work for you and so what it does is it means that you don't have to use the clutch to shift gears. You have to be within the right RPM range for the gears that you're moving between, so you have to be faster than 2,200, and then there's various ones for downshifting that I'll put in the description. So to wrap up the shifting discussion, right, you can quick shift pretty well if you just remember to keep that throttle steady. Don't muck with your throttle, keep it where it is. And so when you're accelerating, if I'm rolling on the throttle to accelerate, because that's what I would do, the quick shifter is not as reliable when I'm doing that. I need to maintain steady throttle. So when I know that I need to get into that next gear, I'll just do it here. Not from 1st to 2nd, because I just don't do that, but so I'm in 2nd gear. Yeah, it doesn't like going to third, so the quick shifter, again, it's just kind of inconsistent. But worked fine getting into fourth. And again, I can't say, you know, of all the various tips, the one that I hope that you remember today is downshifting, and just remembering that you don't have to look at the display when you're downshifting. Just, you know, downshift and start your engine braking, and when you're ready to commit to stopping, just pull the clutch all the way in and keep stomping on the shifter until you doesn't click anymore, and then you're in first gear. It's great. It's become one of my favorite things, just reminding myself that I don't need to go look to see what gear I'm in. I can just stomp my way down until it doesn't click, and now I'm good. I can focus on my braking, I can focus on what's going on around me, all that kind of stuff. So I hope you find that helpful.